James has got some pretty strong words.
A lot of power in the tongue. Words.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel hopeful because he's like, nobody can tame it.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of being hyperbolic, but he's also acknowledging like the fact that we're always going to have these fleshly bodies until Yeshua comes and makes that right. But it felt a little hopeless when I was reading it. I know for me, I come from a culture where I don't think I ever really understood what gossip was. Like, I think I understood what slander was, like where you could say something about somebody that's not true. But I don't think I ever really knew what gossip was because it was like a way of life. Mm-hmm. And part of it was because the community was so tight. People would know everybody's business. You almost felt like everybody's business was your business. That's kind of how it came across. And I didn't realize probably until I married Jay, like how crazy pervasive it was in the culture. And for the most part, I never really saw it as like slanderous in most cases. Like a lot of it was really couched around like, I'm really concerned. Like, I got concerns about these people and how this is going to affect the community or how this is going to affect the family or whatever. And that's all fine, except if it's not being addressed with the person, if there's a problem, then what are we doing here? And sometimes the reason I found myself doing things like this was because I didn't feel like I could actually not say anything. Like, almost like I didn't know not saying anything was an option. So there's been kind of a journey for me with that. And the longer it's gone, the more I'm like, oh, I still have like so much work to do. Because I will, you feel that compulsion when like somebody says something and then you feel like, I got something to say about that. And then you have to make a choice. Then you're like, I got to make a choice here. Because like once you know it's wrong, then you're like, okay, what am I going to do about it?
It's hard for the people pleasers too. That was
Right.
my issue because it's like you're talking to someone and they're talking to you about something and then you have to like step up and say what you're doing is wrong. And you have to figure out like a tactful way to do that without feeling like you're being rude or whatever.
Yeah, I remember working years ago. I was like, dude, you gotta stop complaining about everything. You're making me miserable. You're making me hate work.
But I think that goes to show, like, even if you're not necessarily a participant, but you're a passive observer
That's everyone.
in the process, it's affecting you. So you could be the person who's being talked about, you could be the person who's talking, speaking that way, but you could be just a listener. And you think, okay, I'm not guilty. I didn't slander somebody or gossip about somebody, and I'm not the person being hurt by it, so I'm cool, like, everything's good. But it's like, if you listen to it, you gave somebody an ability to say those things. Mm-hmm. So you're just as guilty as the person who said it because you gave them an ear.
And it's hard to have, if someone's giving you bad information, you could tell yourself, like, I'm not going to let that affect how I think about that person, but
not true. It's like now you have something in your mind that you can't unhear. Mm-hmm. And once you've heard it, your brain is trying to figure out what to do with that information. And we are all like children, and that's why God has these instructions for us. So.
Well, I will say, speaking evil will get us into trouble, but also our arrogance and pride, they can get us into trouble too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The way we behave towards others, we don't necessarily have to say something about it, but the way we behave,
there's different kinds of communication. It's not just things you say.
It's verbal communication, physical communication.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But it's true. A tongue can cause a lot of trouble.
Yep.
I was thinking that James talks about how the tongue is this small little body part compared to how the effect that it has. And you can't even see it most of the time. It's hidden inside a person's mouth. But think about if you ask somebody what part of your body could do the most damage to another person. You think, well, my fist, of course. But you can only hurt one person at a time with your fist. Most people. I mean, maybe Bruce
I don't
Lee.
know. Speak for yourself, Jay.
Unless you're Bruce Lee.
Kung Fu master.
County food house
Yeah, but with your
and your feet too.
words, you can hurt everybody within hearing distance. And it's not just the person you're talking about, we're talking to, but everybody else who hears and everybody who is affected by them. And in the modern world, you can get online and say something.
Oh, it's brutal online.
Yeah,
And that's why the word is a two-edged sword.
Yeah, you see people online who have audiences of millions of people saying the craziest thing about other people and just vicious, horrible things.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden, 1 billion people around the world believe something horrible about somebody. Like it's just insane.
And it multiplies.
Well, how many kids have committed suicide by cyberbullying?
Yep.
School going around like crazy.
Yeah.
Just by one kid exposing whatever's out there, and kids like. Not too long ago, one committed suicide in the school.
Yeah, the tongue can hurt, but then it's also could be love. You know.
And also blessed.
And it's interesting that by his good conduct, let him show his works, and in the meekness of wisdom, that it's really our works that reflect our hearts too. You know, and I guess when your works are not evident, people overcompensate with words. But then at the same time, like even your own children, man, you could beat your child down off, just by the words you say. And then in that respect, it's probably because of a habit that you learned as a child that now you're passing on, So it's like you gotta break those habits.
I think the thing that it also points to is the opposite, which is like the way that God creates and the way that he created this universe is through his words. And he gave us the same power to create with our words. That's really what this is pointing to, is like we have the power to create with our words, and we can create life or we can create death. And if we're imitating God, we will create life. If we're imitating the enemy, if we're imitating the enemy of our souls, we'll create death. And so it can be very simplified in that way, but I think it's the recognition that the tongue has that much power, and then saying, well, why wouldn't I harness that and use that for the most amazing, beautiful, good things that God gave me the ability to do? And then you take that tongue and you're like, okay, I'm not going to let it speak for these things. I'm going to let it speak only to these things. But it makes me think about how when we do that, when we start to do that, the possibilities of what we can do in terms of positive creation, in terms of good creation, start to open up. Like you start to be able to see like how much power your tongue has when you start to use it for good. So for example, praying for other people, how it changes you and it makes you more compassionate for other people. Like there's all these different ways, but ultimately, like once you start seeing God act on those prayers, then all of a sudden you're seeing, I am asking for these things from God, and he is like actually granting these things because it's in alignment. And then you just start to see how like, wow, I really can. Obviously God is the one allowing these things and he's given us this ability, but it's like, I really can create good things in this world, which is what he actually put us on the planet to do. And I think that's the most powerful thing we can do.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time today talking about negative talk and how we can wreck relationships. But you and Brad are making a good point that might be a more important thing to talk about, is how we can use our words to strengthen relationships and make people better.
Well, and even this fellowship is supposed to be for the purpose of edification, right?
Yeah, that's the reason we're supposed to gather.
Mm-hmm.